All right, welcome into Blockchain Basement. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the FOMC meeting. We've got a new layer 1 coin with a massive dump. Also, another bank collapsing. Is this the same episode we do every day? All this and more on today's Blockchain Basement. Bum, 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 bum. You ready for this? I'm ready. Welcome.
If you're gonna screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
Out to give the numbers out. And I was like, no, hang up the phone right now.
Or like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting?
400,000 to 600,000. The generational signals are now.
Level. So I don't even know if we're gonna get back below there, but if we do, that's kind of where we
All right, yeah, welcome in. We have a really good show for you guys today. The Nictator, he's back. You guys loved him yesterday. He's rocking his Frankie Candles merch, the sunglasses. We've got Kelly Kellum from the BitLab Academy, bringing all the knowledge and the education. The lovely Ali B. And on the board, Truth Wider, the Truth, Crypto Prepper, wearing his Blockchain Basement shirt. And of course, shout out to all of you guys. Dodd Slave, Casino Doggy, Row.io, Chemistry Bro, Rug Gang, Crimson Caravan Company, Agent Brown Sugar. Casino Doggy says, no lunch today. Anything could happen on the charts. That's right. I'm running no lunch at all. I'm running strictly on Propel and Bang today, waiting for the FOMC meeting to come out. We also have, Mike is off. I hope it's not. Fluffy the Sheep, K24, TJ's Chicken Salad had that yesterday. Crypto Stevo. We're going to be yelling at him later in the show. Phil Nye, the crypto guy. Jeremy Lister, Blazing 2JZ, Sack Nasty 86, Big Hands Dan, Beautiful Disaster 311, and many more. We love all of you guys. Welcome in. Happy to have you here today. Happy to be here on a Wednesday when the Federal Reserve is here to screw us all and the regional banks, make more things collapse, and make the economy even worse. So
that's right.
Here we are. But Bitcoin holding on to 28K. You know, it was barely holding on last night, and it did kind of pump. Yeah, here we go. This is the one day. It was barely hanging on to 28 last night. Got a nice little pump, so it's holding on today, giving a little space for correction on the FOMC meeting. We got a lot of people saying, you know, Fed rate hike decision coming today. This is from our buddy George, Cryptos R Us. Which path will Bitcoin choose? You know, the path up into the moon, the path down into the thumbs down. We will see. I don't think it's going to be all that dramatic in my opinion. I mean, obviously this is going all the way up to 65, all the way down to $5,000. I think it'll probably just be a little blip right there.
I feel like the market's kind of over getting edged by Jerome Powell.
Yeah,
they're just like
edged.
Well, I mean, it's priced in. Everybody knows, you know, like pretty much everybody's expecting this rate hike at this point. But what do you guys think? I mean, expectations, we're sitting at 127. So Hey, lucky number 27. Give us what do you guys think? What 20 minutes, 30 minutes from now we're gonna see something happen?
I think there's going to be. I talked about it on the BitBoy Crypto earlier. I think there's going to be a little bit of a liquidity washout in both directions. I don't know. Right now, it looks like obviously there's a upside price action. So don't jump in just because you see a couple green candles, because there's likely going to be a little bit of a whipsaw up and then a washout to the downside, flushing out both longs and shorts for people being a little too precariously exuberant a little whiplash, little whiplash. So I think it's going to come in at 25, and I don't know though. Are they going to be dovish, or are they going to say it's going to be 3 more like the prank caller Zelensky situation?
No, I think they're going to do everything they can. And somebody's saying my mic's messed up. So if you guys can hear me good, I mean, Drew, I think you can hear me. But if you guys can't hear me, if you hear me fine, say something in the chat.
Is my mic working?
Say something. Yeah,
I hear him.
There's a few people saying Mike's not working.
Mike's still not working. Well, I'm going to keep talking, and you guys tell me in the chat if it's working or not.
Tell us what it sounds like.
Yeah. Give us your best impression of what it is. But do I think they're going to be hawkish or dovish? I think he's going to do everything he can to keep his speech and all of his language about as neutral as he possibly can. I mean, he might allude to pausing in the future. I don't think they're going to allude to any type of cutting or give any kind of indication on when that's going to be. They may say they're done raising. They may not. I think they're trying to keep it as neutral as possible. Like I said, they don't want to come off too hawkish and break more things. They don't want to come across. Oh, my mic is quiet. Well,
it's quiet. They said maybe.
We'll just turn you up then.
Yeah.
We'll just turn you up then a little bit. There you go.
Well, whatever. Mic kind of jack, near, far, near the.
Unplug your XLR and then plug it back in.
I'm good. Yeah.
Guys, this is the level. This is the level that we have to deal with when we're always keeping track of Jerome Powell and just the neurotic bipolar histrionics from the Fed. Like, we barely have time to do show prep because we're just trying to keep track of all the money that they're printing. We can give you alpha every day. Let's do a mic check.
Yeah, no, it sounds fine. I can hear it.
Yeah.
Somebody's checking it. It sounds really good. So
yeah.
Anyway, we're holding on to these levels. We do have a small, like if you look at the 24-hour rocket pool pump, stacks pumping a little bit. Nick and I were talking a little bit earlier. We are going to work on he's going to start working on a BRC 20. TJ mic lower than Drew's mic loud.
Drew's mic is loud.
That's 10 seconds behind. So.
Yeah. Okay. BRC 20, so we're starting to get some other token standards on Bitcoin now with some ordinals and stuff like that. That's going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. You don't like it. Nick hates it. Tell me why you hate it. Well, I determined this upstairs. I think Nick hates everything. If it's not mining and proof of work, I don't know what it is.
It is mining. It is. But like, seriously, there's like so many other chains to do this on instead of kind of like moving away from the white. If you move away from the white paper, look, in the dictatorship, there is order against chaos. So look, as the dictator, I have to step in and call a spade a spade. Udi Wertheimer, I know you're like bros with Ben, like you're screwing it up. Like, there's Litecoin, we have Litecoin, we have Dogecoin, for God's sake.
I got your group name. It's the Tater Haters.
The Tater Haters. No, I think that's the alliance, the rebel alliance against the dictator is the Tater Haters. Yeah.
I love taters.
No, see, I think I disagree. I think it provides interesting utility. It provides fun and excitement. It's pushing the edges and the standards. I think that's been missing in Bitcoin for a little while. Beyond, like relevance, people are talking about. I mean, that matters in this stuff right now. And it's maximizing each block. It is providing better rewards for the miners. Yes, the use case for it right now might not seem, like it's going to change the world, but it's proving a concept that is critical for Bitcoin to work beyond the year 2140. Once the subsidies are starting to get removed, you need the transaction fee rewards to be enough to incentivize miners. And obviously the price of Bitcoin going up and a lot of other things are going to factor into that happening. But seeing this reality play out, to me, actually makes me feel a lot more confident that we will see that play out, 100 years from now.
But weren't the first NFTs actually on Bitcoin anyway?
Colored coins.
Yeah.
There you go.
So it's not like it's a huge revolution or evolution in the chain.
I don't know.
It's just the way that
an expansion of utility.
Can someone spend time making Lightning Network function before we do dumb wizards? Like, I don't know. Maybe
they could.
Maybe I'm just a simple man, and maybe Bitcoin could be used as a currency before we start putting dumb shit on there. But
Well, but it doesn't. But that's my point. Is it doesn't really matter. Progress is progress. So yes, somebody could be working on the Lightning Network and make it better, and there's nothing stopping anybody from doing that. So more power to. But don't crap on somebody else for trying something else new on Bitcoin and creating what is actual marketplace and utility. Whether you like it or not, something's happening. Transactions are happening. More value is on the network today than there was. And so to me, on a fundamental level, it's progress. But I understand, you're not alone in thinking it's silly, But
look, anyone can, like, as soon as they start minting CP onto Bitcoin, we're toast. It ruins the narrative. So that's why that's number one reason why I don't like it.
Yeah, I get it.
Coors Lightyear said, "I'm reading JFK Jr. is speaking in Bitcoin Miami."
Oh, nice.
RFK.
I'm intrigued.
JFK Jr. My God.
JFK Jr. Is he coming back?
He's back from the dead.
Good God. Yeah. RFK Jr. Huge L when he's talking about climate change.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what about his thoughts on CBDs and crypto? What's your take on that? I mean, he's pretty pro.
Yeah, he's smart, and he's smart on all the COVID vaccine stuff. But then he said dumb crap about if you don't subscribe to everything that the UN is saying about climate change, you should go to jail. That's what he said this week.
Really? He said that recently?
Yeah, he said it this week. I'm like, okay, well, you're stupid. So
that's disappointing.
But
I mean, I don't know. You gotta same thing. You gotta pick.
We don't trust any of the politicians.
Pick some positive.
Not in a dictatorship.
Not in a dictatorship. We're all moving into Nick's house.
It's
it's all
only.
Nick's world. Yeah.
Up only in the dictatorship.
Yeah. Where are we moving? I'll leave it.
Croatia.
Croatia. Oh,
Hell
it's
yeah,
not too
dude.
bad down there. So. All right, so I saw somebody, I think it was Steve-O, it might have been Chemistry Bro, said earlier in the chat that they think the Fed meeting is going to go about like what happened last time. I tend to think so too. Yeah. We might see some minor volatility like within minutes of the announcements and the speech and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I think it's going to be a non-event. Kelly, what about some of I don't know if you ever did get connected there on vMix to show your screen there, but what about some of the longer time frames? Overall in the market, because we haven't had you here on the show in a while. I'm still holding true to the theory that I think we will still see some positive momentum throughout the middle of this year, whether it's in May or late May, early June. I think would line up with the cycle if we saw a positive push and then a correction. Longer time frame wise, what do you see? Do you see us pulling back, but bearish or bullish on the kind of like weekly, over the next couple of months? What are you thinking?
Well, obviously it's going to be a little bit contingent on what the tone is today. Not only the decision, and I want everybody to pay attention to this too. The volatility isn't done when the decision is out at 2:00 today in about 25 minutes. It is we have that, and then we have that gap of time between the announcement to when the press conference is. And in reality, I would argue that the tone of the press conference is actually going to really set the stage for what the next, basically 4 weeks into the next FOMC meeting, 4 or 5 weeks into the next FOMC meeting in June. So contingent on that, I think if they are trying to just bring a hammer down now where they do the 25, but they're very hawkish in tone, then I could see a situation which would actually be more bullish for the price to come down and retest that level, that 24.5 to 25,000 level, which would at that point also be about the same level as the short-term holder realized price, which is you see regularly, especially early on in a bull trend, price pull back and the bears are kind of testing that level. And if we're able to hold it, then it's really, really strong for the next leg up. But I think either way, at some point this year, we will minimally hit the 36K level and probably go somewhere once we break the $32,000 level. It's going to be a quick flight up to 36,000. And depending on the wild torrent of news that comes out of nowhere lately, I think it's very I don't know if we're going to get the 50,000 golden pocket level, but I do think we'll probably hit somewhere between the 42 and 44 being the high.
Yeah, see, that's right in line. And that's why I like to ask people that do a lot of technical analysis, because I'm not a big TA person. I'm much more fundamental and macro. And that lines up exactly with what my theory was. And Chemistry Bro pointed out, pump into end of May and then dip into, towards the halving would mirror exactly what happened in 2019, 2020. So I could see us exactly what you were saying, pushing up towards 40, even a little over 40, and then have, slowly or pretty quickly correcting all the way back down into the 20s before going up into the halving in 2024. so like we could get all the way, say, to 42, 45, and then get a 50% correction. That's when they're all saying it's dead again, on the back of, like you said, some crazy news, some regulation, maybe something's going on in the economy or the world. Last time it was the pandemic wick that pushed us all the way back down there. So maybe there's, cyber something or other going on, who knows what, but I see us, correcting all the way from in the 40s down back into the 20s. That's the last big time to accumulate. You get the halvings, and then it's game time again. Nick, you were pointing at something?
Yeah, so to reiterate, the just the thing that's going to pull us down, and I've been following this loosely over the past 3 weeks, but then I just saw a clip from Breaking Points. Crystal Ball did a good breakdown this morning, how Charlie Munger called out that there's a commercial real estate crisis, and I did not understand the scope of just.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit.
It's catastrophic.
It's $1.5 trillion are underwater on commercial real estate loans, and most of those loans, most of those mortgage companies are owned by the Big Four.
Yep.
I didn't know they were owned by the Big Four. And starting this year, they're all having to refi.
Yep.
And the refis will really pick up
next year
at the end of 2024 into 2025.
Yep.
So they're refinancing at this interest rate?
Yes.
Oh, that's
so like
basically
Powell,
compounds it. Yeah.
Yeah. If Powell doesn't get the message here, he's going to sink one of the pillars of the economy. And at that, we're looking at a thing now to where it would cost so much money to print that there's no way the Fed would ever be able to get to their inflation.
There's no way to print out of it without hyperinflation, basically, or risking.
Yeah, so they're going to try and do a bailout, but they can only really do like one or two, and then you're printing so much money that you've completely busted the system.
Yeah.
So that is something to look at. Big time.
That was something that's on my radar now. The loan matural, renewal rate. People having to reset and refinance a lot of these mortgages now at much higher rate, or these jumbo massive commercial loans. Or loans to other banks, or a lot of loans to other nations, a lot of those types of things. That's why this interest rate matters so much. When you push that rate up and hold it up there for a long time, what you're doing is letting a lot in, and they know when a lot of these things are resetting. Like, this is not lost on them. They know, oh, we're about to make bank on some big debts and some big loans and a lot of these things that are owed to them. They raise that rate up, and they know, okay, the next 2 years we're just it's free money for us. But like you said, it's going to absolutely not only destroy a lot of the smaller regional banks, but also starting to threaten some of the big four. Bank of America, I know, holds a lot of real estate, both commercial and residential. So
TJ,
yes.
you have a background in real estate, and I have an answer for this, but I think your answer is going to be much better.
Oh, okay.
Crypto said, I always wondered what happens to people's mortgage and home loans when these banks become insolvent. So is this just debt that's purchased or taken over at a discount because of the value of the assets are lower, or what happens is that?
Yeah, it gets repackaged and passed on to another bank, generally speaking. And actually that happens a lot of times even without banks going insolvent. Most of the time when banks are putting these loans together, it's just to package them up and sell them to a bigger bank. So if you have a mortgage and if you've been in your home, several years, you've probably, even if it's only been a few years, you've probably had it change from, I was paying, Bank of America for a few months, and I started paying this company called Loan Depot, then I started paying, whatever. And these are these big mortgage companies that roll them all up and sell them to each other. So if you say you had a mortgage with Silicon Valley Bank, it goes insolvent and it gets all those loans, all those creditors, all those debtors get passed on to wherever and repackaged into another bank. And
do you lose your equity?
No, you don't generally lose your equity.
Good.
No, unless you're moving. You just get repackaged into a different loan, and it's the same contract you generally have. The thing is, what they do is they take the good loans and put them on their balance sheet, and the ones that are of any kind of risk whatsoever, they also take those, but they get a guarantee that if they go bad, the government and the taxpayer makes that loan, covers them, so they have insurance on it. So it becomes like a win-win. We have good ones and bad ones that if they go bad, we get paid out anyway, so we don't care. And that's the real problem, is there's nothing to stop banks from making risky, bad loans, and they just keep getting rewarded over and over for it.
Crypto that is entirely transparent and trackable of every transaction, and the USDC has to have one-to-one. This is where you don't want to be because it's unsafe.
And Crimson Caravan Company says, what happens if no one buys the loans? That's the U.S. government buys them.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, that's because it's too big to fail. Because they have the option of either raising taxes to fix this, or we're just going to go let this collapse happen and we're going to step in and buy all these loans, or support them, basically, which means print money to make them whole and backstop the banks. It's a bailout. It's a reallocation of fund, of loans. It's they say it a lot of different ways, but basically what they're doing is they're creating money or taking money from taxpayers and giving it to the person who made a bad loan.
Yeah. I got something.
Yeah, what's up?
I love this graph.
The building blocks of this banking collapse are something I don't think
Make sure you're
really
getting into that mic too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I think I'm too loud. I think they can hear me now. The building blocks of this collapse are much larger than they were in basically the last 2008 move, and I just want to show. So this is
yeah, I love this.
So
I can only get so erect.
Yeah, I mean, you have Washington Mutual really kicked off that first 2008 banking collapse.
Right. So if you keep hearing people say this is the second largest banking collapse in U.S. history, Washington Mutual was number one, which is that giant bubble on that graph right there.
Right.
And then all those other bubbles are teeny tiny little banks.
Yeah, these are the teeny tinies are the regional banks, smaller banking institutions that just didn't have the liquidity. And now this reads to me like we have absolute chaos on the horizon.
You know what's interesting, Drew, is look at the bottom part of that graph.
Yeah.
Is look how long it took for that to play out. If WAMU was in the middle of, or the beginning of 2009, let's call it, it really didn't stop until basically the end of 2015.
Right. Yeah. This has a lot more legs to go because it's got a lot larger of a base of failures to build upon. So
Whoa.
yeah, I mean, it's just
very different.
We are in an interesting time, and we saw GDPs hit levels they haven't seen since the Civil War during the panty. So we're in a restructuring of our country. It's just a matter of how we restructure it at this point.
We're like in a car on the edge of a cliff, but we're told to feel okay because we're teetering, but it's okay because we have a parachute, but they're not letting you know that parachute is made of paper.
Right. Yeah. No, they're telling you it's okay. We're all crawling to the back of the car right now. We're just going to hang out in the back and, just nobody move around too much. And if nobody eats any lunch, then we'll probably be okay. We'll go back to your shot real quick, Drew.
Yeah.
And then wave for us, Owen.
Let's see.
Go back to the
chat wants to know who's the white ice cube in the corner over there.
Exactly. Go back to your shot, Drew.
Oh yeah,
your shot. Yeah, there you go. And now wave, Owen.
Oh yeah, hello.
Yeah. Owen's our plug.
Owen's he's joined us. He's helping with some technical junior TD.
Well, I'm presenting him, but all right, present you.
Owen's the plug.
He's hanging out learning. So. That graph, that's a really good graph, really good illustration. I kept saying it, and you could say, 2 or 3 of these are as big as everything that happened before, but seeing it visualized like that, I mean, I think that really puts it in perspective that these 3 banks, and what happened with all those other smaller banks failing is what the banking industry consolidated, and the other mid-sized banks got even bigger, and that's what we see now with First Republic and Silicon Valley Bank. Now they're massive compared to the bank failures before, and it's threatening. It's not good. It could be really bad. Real quick, just wanted to give a quick shout out. Somebody was asking when BJ is going to be back. He will be back soon. We have about 200.
When I say so.
We have about 283 people watching in the in the chat right now. If you guys miss BJ, if you love BJ, please smash the like buttons. That will coax him back, and he will know he'll be missed. Say we love you, BJ, in the chat. And he might cry tonight in tears of joy.
I was gonna say he cries every night. That's
into his pillow, and you'll try not to drip anything on his magic cards and ruin them. So, no, we love BJ. He'll
not
be
on the
back
Black
soon.
Lotus.
Yeah, exactly. Not the Black Lotus. He does have a Black Lotus, so don't mug him.
Question for Nick: do you know of any protocols that other countries' militaries are looking to other than DAG?
That's a Drew question.
Yeah, that's a Drew question.
Drew, do you know of any protocols that military countries are looking into outside of?
Nah, I focus on the U.S. military usage. I'm trying to win at home rather than pay my enemy who might be at my doorstep in 5 years from now.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Uncle Tinfoil here with a good dad joke, and I've been trying to work on my dad joke game. He says banks are not in free fall. It actually costs some people a lot. Oh, that's a good one. I like it. He said it was a bad one, but I thought it was pretty clever. So.
It's a groaner.
Yeah, a groaner.
A groaner.
Speaking of banks collapsing, this just doesn't seem to stop. Like we said, it doesn't, and not looking like it's slowing down anytime soon. Shout out to a Basement Premier member, one of the main guys who's here all the time. Razmataz tagged Drew and I in this. Here we go. Pac West. We talked about it earlier this week. Now it's showing up in the chart on May 9th. Here we go. Another week, another bank on the free fall. So it seems
But Jerome Powell just said the banking system fine.
Well, yeah, and so did what was this? Jim Cramer said it was fine. Yeah,
Oh,
so
God.
nothing to worry about. Yeah, now we're all again good to be
The
prepared.
art of misdirection, Sun Tzu.
Yeah, exactly.
They did halt trading on it yesterday, and it's on a list of about 8 or 9 banks that fell by anywhere from 35 to like 20 to 35% yesterday. So the rumblings that we saw.
Wait, how many banks fell that much?
9 banks. Yeah, I saw. So it's basically feeling real similar to right before we saw the last kind of dump of banks with FRC
Yeah.
or FRB and everything like that. It just feels real similar. So worth paying attention to. I know these, banking collapses might bore the heck out of people, but they change your financial landscape drastically.
Yeah, it really matters. Well, and that's the thing. Like, what's your incentive to be in a small, mid-sized regional bank at this point?
It's scary. I have a regional bank right now, and I'm using Coinbase more
Yeah.
so. Like it's there for 5 minutes, and then it's on Coinbase.
Get to a credit union.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see how this stops. Like, at this point, there's enough news and information out there that people know this problem is real. Most of their balance sheets are public, so it doesn't. If there's a curiosity there, it doesn't take much effort to go do some financial analysis and realize, and then look out 12 to 18 months and realize, like, oh, this is going to be a big problem. And there's not enough money here. And we all know, based on the way the banking system works, there isn't enough money in the system. So as soon as people start to question if they can get their money out of the system or not and start doing it, it does start to unravel more and more quickly because it does have network effects.
I have a question from Rug Gang. He said, why is no one asking where all this money the banks are losing is going? Where is it? And Casino Doggy said it didn't exist in the first place.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm getting at. It never existed in the first place. So as soon as people start waking up to that, and these are people that kind of know it in theory and in concept, most of these people that have hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, you're talking, holders of hundreds of millions of dollars worth of loans, like their entire job is financial management. They may be blind to certain areas because they came up in this certain system, but they're not stupid people. And that's one thing I want to, make clear. Like, it seems so obvious to us that have just come in, you're just learning about the financial system and the way fiat works and the way currency is created. And you can really, to a simple mind, a simple person, it's like, this is lunacy. This is insane that this is the way the financial system works. But people that have been educated and trained on it for years and years and years, like, oh no, of course, there's all this theory, there's all these reasons.
They're institutionalized.
They're institutionalized, and it's a very famous quote. I think it was, I don't know if it's Henry Ford or who said it, but something along the lines of, like, if a man is financially incentivized not to understand something, he won't, more or less. Like, if understanding something becomes a threat to your job, you're not going to learn about it. And so a lot of people, financially minded people, they understand economics. They just haven't really had enough reason to question the financial system at hand because it had been working for the last 40 years or so.
I mean,
Can I just make a Nick Tater decree real quick?
Decree.
So I'm making my first decree. I want us to start a bank run. Everyone move your money out of a bank and go to a credit union. That is financial advice. Because honest to God, the credit unions are not under FDIC. They have their own thing. All credit unions are nonprofit. They are, by orders of magnitude, more cautious with investments, and they have to spread their investments over a much wider swath of investment types, and they're not allowed to loan out nearly as much of their depositors' money as banks are.
I did that. I'm in compliance.
Here, this is my decree. Get to a credit union as soon as possible. Okay.
Or, I mean, why not just get into crypto and completely, you're just saying for your daily operating.
Yeah, for your liquid cash, for your emergency fund, to have your checking account. Obviously, you should be buying Bitcoin, but for everything else,
well, I had, for anybody that knows who Didi Tahutu is, he's
the crypto family,
the Bitcoin family. Yeah, he basically, him and his family, they decided he sold his business, they sold their house, they sold their cars, they sold everything that they had, every worldly possession, and bought Bitcoin in 2012, 2013.
Good timing.
And he's basically, been building a life, literally the Bitcoin standard kind of way, where he's living fully on Bitcoin, where I had him on as a guest on the BitLab Academy daily stream. If you haven't subscribed, go and subscribe.
You better.
I had him on as a guest about 2 weeks ago, and he was saying, people don't realize it's really comes down to our convenience and basically changing habits. He's like, I haven't had a bank account and I haven't used traditional banking systems in finance for over 3 years. He's living entirely on Bitcoin. He has some altcoins as well, and when he needs cash, he'll do an OTC trade with somebody and get some cash for when he travels. He books his hotels and Airbnb because they live all over the world. They move every 3 months. Yeah. They just book venues that allow to book and pay with crypto, which there are use cases out. And the more people that do that, the quicker the rails and support system for that actually expands.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And Jen Jones 32, that actually is true. You do need if you're gonna really make that push, Nick, you do need a code word.
Beer run.
Code no, yeah, there you go.
Beer run.
Or code, yeah.
Guys, it's going to beer run.
This
go on a beer run to move your finances from into a region or
credit union.
You could do it literally in one day.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. And then see what it says. Don't worry, the banking system is transitory. Commercial real estate is transitory. The residential real estate market is transitory. It's okay. It's all good. That's what they will say. Yeah. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here. It's all transitory. Which, ironically, if you zoom out enough, it is all transitory. The financial system is going to completely go away at some point, and we aren't going to be experiencing the financial monetary policy and abuse, I would say, that we've been experiencing for the last hundreds of years, if not thousands. So
yeah. A question from Beardalance.
Yeah.
Also, still want to know effects of mining and transactions if large servers are shut down due to AGI issues, if any.
Is he talking about Bitcoin specifically? I don't think that would really. Bitcoin's more decentralized to where they've got stuff all over. Where I don't think that should affect Bitcoin. Maybe if you're talking about specifically on a smaller,
it would kill ETH.
Yeah. You think so? It would kill it?
No. It would kill like the transaction.
Yeah, it would slow things down and stuff. But I mean, if you're talking about a small chain that doesn't have a lot of miners on it and it gets hit with something like that, that could affect it. But generally speaking, I don't think it would have that big of effect for most of the larger proof of work.
So just so everybody knows, I brought this up on the stream the other day as well. There's currently this was as of about a year ago.
What website is that?
This is trip-a.io. /crypto-ownership. You can
there's a few of these kind of
but
things,
you can see there's over 420 million crypto owners worldwide, and within that, USA has 46 million, India has 27 million, Pakistan 26 million, Nigeria surprisingly fourth up on the list, 22 million, Vietnam 20 million. So my point here is even with this is one of the beauties of decentralization, and this is really what really locks in the true use case value of Bitcoin. Yes, we can transact value across between each other across globally, but without a third party intermediary. But the true power in it, just like think about the value of Facebook when it exploded, or MySpace, or Groupon when that exploded, or Instagram, any of these, really the value in these things, of course they collect data, but the true value that gave them the power was network effects, how big their network was and what the exposure they had through their network. And so when somebody like Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger make statements about Bitcoin not having any real value, it's rat poison, they're not understanding the technological age and the power of social networking, digitally building a network. And that's the true value of Bitcoin. And the icing on the cake is that you can actually transact through that network that just exponentially expands the value of that network. So if there is an issue with 1 or 2 or even 100 Bitcoin miners, would it have a small impact on price in the very short term? It likely would, out of fear, but I don't think it would have any lasting impact whatsoever because we have the power of decentralization.
There you go.
Preach.
Really good explanation there, and I did. Puin 78 Div does bring up a really serious issue. He says that this is all great, but it still doesn't change the fact that there are 49 million kangaroos in Australia and only 3.5 million people in Uruguay, which means that if kangaroos invade Uruguay, each person would have to fight 14 kangaroos alone.
Oh my god!
What?
Serious problems out there.
Can
in
you
the world,
not be
guys.
such a buzzkill?
We need to have a breakout session and really strategize on this because this is important.
Hey, real problem. We're trying to solve real problems.
Okay,
here, guys.
new BitBoy crypto video.
Yeah. No, this is the basement.
New basement video. The first ever scripted long form basement video.
How to fight a kangaroo.
How to fight an kill a kangaroo?
Well, actually, it has to be how to fight 14 kangaroos.
You should pull up that
simultaneously.
Pull up that clip on YouTube. There's the guy boxing the kangaroo.
No,
Yeah, well, real quick. We are gonna go back to something serious, but I just had to read that. That was funny.
crazy.
Everybody, it is.
But real
it
quick,
is
how
about
many
4
kangaroos
minutes.
do you think you could fight, Kelly?
Oof.
You think you could fight more than one?
0, because
0.
I'm a lover. I just snuggle it.
You just snuggle it. Nick Tater, how many
Nick Tater.
kangaroos can you fight alone without your whole army?
And not
Without-
a wallaby, but a
One-on-one. First of all, the Dictator can hold his own in every situation.
I believe that.
Okay. So
More than one kangaroo you think you could take?
at a time?
They're pretty big.
They're pretty.
Dude, I've seen Bruce. Have you
Yeah.
seen the photos of Bruce?
Yeah.
The kangaroo?
No, we'll say consecutively. It doesn't have to be at the same time.
I could probably take on like 5 consecutively without having to take a break. And if it's a wallaby, I will fuck up a wallaby any day of the week.
Drew, how many kangaroos could you take?
Dude, I wouldn't fight fair.
Well, yeah, you don't have to
know.
fight fair. You're allowed to use all of your intelligence. You're a human being. You know, you've got
My
a little,
thumbs.
Yeah, you got your thumbs. You can use any tools in the
All
area
right.
that you find.
Yeah, I'll take on if
All
that's the rules.
14.
I'll take on 30 kangaroos.
30 kangaroos.
Yep, let's do it. Yep. If I can use my human advantage,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if I had a car.
I mean, you're not like getting freaking. You're not getting a fortress and a gun. You're out in the woods.
Mano a mano.
You can
Oh,
climb
mano
a
a
tree,
mano.
you can find
You
a
said
stick or something. How are you
any
gonna fight
tools.
30?
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
anything's. I mean, I don't know.
I would definitely die trying, but that's what I'd go
I believe
for.
that. I
Yeah.
believe that 100%.
If
I
it's-
was thinking.
yeah.
How many did you say, Nick? 3?
Well, if it's
Five.
five Bruces, we all know who we're talking about
guys.
with Bruce, okay? If it's 5 Bruces, that's going to be a lot for one Dictator. Now,
What
if it's
about
like
you,
It's a
TJ?
pansy zoo kangaroo.
I don't know.
I can murder a lot.
I don't know if I'm overestimating the kangaroos or under. You know.
I think we're
I was picturing this
overestimating.
guy.
Yeah, I know. I'm picturing
That's
some
why I
like
was-
We're overestimating kangaroos.
Yeah,
that picture, he's an
average
nominal
weight
Yeah.
of a kangaroo. I'm just curious.
Everybody, it's about 1.5, 2 minutes for the FOMC. So if you see
Oh.
alerts go off on your thing, be patient. Let a
Coming
direction
up.
So these
confirm.
things are generally 100-ish. You can say about 100 pounds. So not quite as big as I was.
Yeah.
I was thinking they were like 6'4", you know, like 300 pounds, 230 pounds.
Yeah, but I wouldn't fight a
One
30
kick
pound.
and every one of us will go down, says Coors
Is
Light
there
here.
anyone
What
in
do you
the
let us know in the
chat-
chat too? How many kangaroos do you guys think you could take? Because I was thinking 5 seemed like a lot. Drew's over here taking 30.
Well, I mean, I was
I don't
under
wanna
the.
sound like I'm.
He's
I
got a
thought this
sniper
was.
rifle
Yeah,
off
I
in the
was under
back,
the
though.
context
No,
that this was
this-
America.
You said
We're
any
talking hand to hand.
tools.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul.
Oh, but this is Australia. So.
I could probably go like maybe 3 or 4 deep before I'd run out of energy. But yeah, the
Tough.
kicks are horrible, and they balance a lot of their weight on their tails.
Yeah.
A lot of the strength comes out
the
of the
mean
tail. push.
alligator whip tail.
Yeah.
Is anyone in the chat from Australia?
Has anybody ever fought a kangaroo before?
That's what I
I don't
really
know.
wanna
I
know.
could take
It's a rite of
probably.
passage. That's what you have to do to get
Look,
your
if
driver's
Drew's gonna
license
take
there.
5, I'm gonna take 6. You
Yeah.
know,
There
or
you
die
go.
trying to Drew's point. So
See?
I like that. But all right, let's get back to.
Is napalm still legal? That makes it easy.
So we were talking about mining. We've got some mining stories here today.
Oh.
We've got Nick Tater, the mining master, Mr. Proof of Work himself. So we got and his favorite politician.
Yeah.
Sleepy
It's
Joe.
really great.
We got Joe
Looks
Biden proposing 30% climate change tax on cryptocurrency mining. Just real quick, poll the room. Does this matter? Is this going to happen? Does anybody put any weight on this? Is it real? What do you think, Nick? 30% tax. They've been talking about this for a little while now. Taxing specific uses of power.
25 basis points.
Is that even can you even possibly do that right now?
That's the question. Is it their job to regulate the way it's conducted or to regulate the use of it? That was the kind of the counterpoint I saw brought up of like, how can you regulate what people are using power for and say I don't like that you're using it for this, so I'm going to charge you more for it.
So this is, and I haven't read the article, but at first blush, I imagine this is a thing to keep companies like CleanSpark from doing business.
Mm-hmm.
If you're specifically a Bitcoin mining business,
It is.
this is targeting you. Is it legal? No. Will it hold up in any type of court? No. I mean, look, they can't even get electric car grid to work properly, and this electricity has to be used somehow. We're wasting, I think, 30% of the electricity every day. Most of the waste happens overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So Bitcoin is able actually to capture that wasted energy and turn it into something useful. So I think this is just another flex. Again, Biden is just a sock puppet. He just got handed a memo and like a little mint and said, hey, if you read this memo, you'll get the mint. There's more where this came from. He goes like, huh? Okay.
There you go.
The unmitigated gall of this man to even propose this as an option.
I feel bad for him.
On top of we get taxed for sales, we get taxed for our income, we get taxed for our property that we own, right? You get taxed on everything. And then they're going to add tax on top of the only asset that we have a chance of escaping the lower and middle class with. Really felt really angering last night to see this article come up, and actually it lit up my wife, who's very even keel usually. She's very calm, and yeah, she was pretty pissed about it. So I think that a lot of people will see this narrative, and they're going to hopefully wake up a little bit more than we are awake right now.
Got her so shout out to Mrs. Druth. You got her so fired up. She came to work with you.
I
today,
know,
yeah?
I know.
Amazing.
She surprised me.
Yeah.
She surprised me.
That's cool.
My dad's argument about it is, he goes, and I'm not going to tell you my position on climate change one way or another, but my dad's argument on this is, if climate change is such a big issue, we're going to be having this, the water rise by so many feet that, like President Obama was saying, he goes, why is he then buying a $25 million beachfront property in Martha's Vineyard?
That's
Right.
exactly.
He's obviously not too worried about it.
Yeah, no, none of the rich people are moving to the interior of the country. They're all staying.
Yeah.
Follow the money, folks. Not hard.
Yeah, watch what they do, not what they say.
Hey, I saw a
That's good
meme.
advice.
I saw a meme yesterday
Me too.
that was. You saw a meme?
I saw a meme.
No, but it was essentially it was saying, it went through, I think, about the 40s to now, and about every 10 years they had a different narrative shift where it was like the hairspray cans was going to eat up 10 years, and then it didn't happen, and then it was 10 years was going to be I forget, there was like 8 different things in a row that none of them have come true, and then they switched to now it's the climate change thing, and it's true. I mean, the narrative shift, the narrative push, and the propaganda that is rooted in where they're able to direct income flows, follow back to, this ties also into, who is it, AOC and Matt Gaetz' proposal for the Congress not to be able to trade. It's just
Nothing burger.
Yeah. We just need to have politics be out of money. It's I don't know.
Well, that's exactly why we need Bitcoin. We need to separate money from state. We don't need state control over the currency that we're using, whether it's local, whether it's global. Just ask Russia. Don't hold reserves in another nation's currency, or you are not a sovereign nation. That is not your keys, not your coins. Also applies to fiat.
That's true.
When you need it on the SWIFT system.
That's true.
That's a good one.
So here we go. Real quick breaking news. This comes in from Benjamin Cowan. This is where he always gets this out almost immediately. So the Fed raised by 25 basis points. The FFR is now 5.25, which is exactly the target that they set out over a year ago last March. They said they were going to raise it to 5.25. They've raised it to 5.25. I don't see any reason to expect anything other than a pause at this point for the remainder of this year, which I do think is interesting. It does allow space for some of these things to move within this interest rate range. Obviously, we'll see what happens with the banks. When banks fail, it seems to be good for Bitcoin. When they print the dollar, it seems to be good for Bitcoin. So a lot of things about the current economic climate are boding extremely well for Bitcoin, and have been for the last 10 plus years. So if that's not a good enough reason for you to buy Bitcoin, I'll see you in a few more years.
Yeah.
So there's that. All right, real quick before we move on to talking about some we got Tom Crown just pointing out, spitting facts here. U.S. has raised the debt ceiling 78 times since 1960, which is, I think, when they created the debt ceiling.
Yeah.
Stop the political theater over the number 79. Actually work on making America great again. Thanks. Meaning there's always all this hoopla of like, what's going to happen? Is the government going to shut down? We're going to raise the debt ceiling. What are we going to do? Is this major debt crisis? They raise it every single time. They're going to raise it again this time. Which again means more inflation, less buying power for the dollar. Bitcoin, orange coin go up. Bitcoin good, dollar bad. Don't overthink it, and you won't be mad. There you go.
That's the haiku of the day.
We got bars
Yeah,
today,
hey.
TJ.
I'm feeling good. So, speaking of a project that crashed,
Yep.
Let's talk about Sui
Yep.
Mainnet. You guys have heard us talk about it on here for a while. We do know there's some good buzz behind it, big money behind it, big VC stuff. A lot of people, at least the narrative, the deep narrative is a lot of the VCs, a lot of the money that were behind Solana, that pumped Solana way up in the last cycle, are the same ones that are behind Sui this time. Sui and Aptos were pretty much together. There was a fork, a separation. Aptos launched first. From what I understand, that was strategy. They wanted to be out ahead of SWE. Supposedly what SWE has on the tech side is better. Let's see what this is. If you look at the map where most of the global nuclear testing was done between the 50s and the 70s, it's where the hole in the ozone layer was/is. Well, there you go. They're just probably just trying to cover up for their own.
That's just a coincidence.
Yeah, coincidence.
Yeah.
So again, what is interesting to me about SWE, just generally speaking, on the surface levels, it uses a programming language called Move. That's the same programming language that Facebook uses. The background behind this project, it did come out of the Facebook Diem project, or Calibra was going to be the currency where they were going to have a stable coin more or less backed by, I think it was, I want to say 25 different, a basket of assets. I can't remember the exact number. Got shot down by the U.S. government. I want to say this was in 2020. Could have been in 20.
I think it was 2020.
Early 2020, I believe.
Yep.
When they were trying to get this done, they had tons of big backers, Visa, MasterCard, all sorts of different things. They had an idea where they were going to have a mixture of, could have been, they didn't say exactly what the assets were going to be, but the illusion was Bitcoin, some government bonds, some dollar, basically a stable coin that had a basket. And it was a very well thought out idea. So anyway, this project came out of that. SWE and Aptos, they've split, both using the Move programming language, which is able to execute things very fast. A lot of developers know what it is because so many people work on Facebook and or I guess you'd say Meta and Meta products at this point. That being said, well, here, we'll just read some of the facts and then we'll get into the chart. We did review, I guess we didn't look at this one on the BitBoy stream this morning, but or a little bit we did. Token trades, $1.33. It's even less than that right now at present time. It's absolutely dumped since the launch, which again, most of these things they always dump on the launch, so just keep that in mind. 2018 was Libra, 2019 was DM restructure. Okay, I couldn't remember. It was late 2019. I couldn't remember if it was either late 2019, early 2020, but it probably was like, October, November, December 2019. So token, let's see, we'll pull it up. SWE real quick is trading below. You love that little guy.
Oh my gosh, the dinosaur maker. Is that a dinosaur?
Oh, it is. It's at $1.35. All right, good. So it was at $1.33 here. The blockchain, founded by ex-Meta platform employees, has more than 200 projects in its directory and another 100 odd projects vying to build on its network. The network has more than 2,100 nodes operating across 43 countries, but those nodes are primarily concentrated in Germany and the U.S., with a smattering of nodes across Asia and Europe. It's worth noting that the network is still in its infancy. It is worth noting that extremely infant, and that over time, the distribution of the validators will likely become more distributed. The tokenomics aren't great on it right now, which generally it happens a lot with some of these VC coins, and you want to assume a lot of major investors, the people in the early supply rounds, are the ones that are going to be holding a lot of these tokens. In April, SWE disappointed some of the community members by announcing it would forego an airdrop. There you go. Instead, SWE, the platform's native token governance and gas, became available to the community members for 3 cents per token in early sale on 3 exchanges: OKX, KuCoin, and Bybit. They were later token sale for 10 cents per token, capped at 10,000 for non-U.S. citizens there. Meanwhile, Binance added support for SWE to BNB to USD. So it's a real project. It's going to be a viable layer one, something to keep an eye on. I did want to show you guys, like, if you look, obviously, that's what it's done so far, just straight drop, straight dump. So
looks like Aptos.
Yeah, it does. And it
not Aptos, Arbitrum
or ICP, almost all of them. When they launch, you've got all these people that are waiting on for these coins to come out. They take their liquidity, it'll bounce off the bottom. Usually people take their, some of those profits there too. So I usually wait for a little while. This is one I'm going to be watching over the next 2 years. I'm not necessarily buying any right now. But it is worth noting it's a notable, large, major funded project, layer one, launching. I think it's going to be something to keep an eye on through 24 and 2025. Chemistry Bro says the supply is 520 million out now, out of 10 billion total. Need to look into the dilution rate fully and where the coins go before starting to DCA. Diluted market cap is massive too, bigger than a few top 20 coins. Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna take, if you're looking at the tokenomics like he was talking about there, you're looking at the circulating supply, only 5% out right now. You gotta look at how fast they're gonna be coming out. Again, a lot of them are gonna be going to the team and to the developers. So you want to dig into those tokenomics. From what I understand, I don't know them all off the top of my head. I don't think they're great. But it was I put it in a similar category to Solana. A lot of things about Solana got people really excited. It was kind of one of the top layer one pumpers in in the 2020-2021 cycle. I think we'll see something similar in the 24-25 cycle, and it's just a matter of I like to get positions in a lot of different layer ones, and one of them is gonna absolutely rip. Whether that's Cosmos or Cardano or DOT or ICP, some of these other ones, or Avalanche. There's tons of them that could do it. And I think Aptos and Sui are going to be in that conversation. It's just a matter of how much can they drop before they start, making that climb. And I think I would watch it a little bit longer, but it is worth noting it's coming out. I don't know, Nick, you have any feelings on Sui or Move or any research on it? I know, Drew, you were playing with the testnet a little bit, right?
Yeah, I like the testnet. I mean, they have like this game Dead Blocks that moves pretty good, and it transacts pretty quick. I think it's not as fast as Aptos, which was noted there, but yeah, I mean, it operates well. The transactions sent quickly. Sometimes the testnet and the devnet went down for various reasons. Now that it's out, I'm gonna, exactly as you said, you gotta sit and wait for it to kind of settle into its kind of base level price during this accumulation run into bull market. I'm not ready to full send into altcoins right now. I'm kind of waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting for that 25 dip or even lower. And maybe it's greedy, maybe I'm being stubborn, but stubbornness has paid me in the past. So, I'm just kind of trying to go with that historical context.
Yeah, okay, yeah, smart contracts, they're not layer one. Yeah, I smart contract platforms. I use layer one as smart contract platform interchangeably. Yes, technically some of them are layer zeros like Cosmos and Polkadot. I get that. We've talked about that on here.
That's just a marketing term,
right?
Layer zero.
Yeah, I mean, it is a difference in the way the blockchain functions, whether it's 0 or 1. But yeah, they're still smart contract platforms. That's but I got in the habit of calling those layer ones, and now they're not all layer ones.
Ralphie227 says, "Tell the apprentice in the corner to sweep the."
Do something, Owen. God, give us a smile.
He's just sitting there getting paid, bro.
Yeah, he's just here. He's watching. He's learning. That's what you do when you're young. You absorb. Okay, so you put this in here. I think we're on a little bit of a mining theme today, and we're gonna wrap up. But Himalayan Kingdom of Bhutan discloses secret Bitcoin mining activities.
Of course they do.
I've never even heard of
Bhutan. The whole country is secret.
Yeah, you know anything about them?
It's a secret. I know that they didn't have television until like 1980.
I hear it's very well protected and still. The culture is very rich. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, they just got internet. Yeah, they have a king. They're a kingdom.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
How do you guys know How do you guys know this stuff?
Because
YouTube.
Yeah, we watch weird ass YouTube videos.
I guess so. Okay, according to a recent Forbes, DHL, the commercial arm of Bhutan's royal government, entered the Bitcoin mining industry by purchasing BTC when it was priced at $5,000. Good for them.
Yeah.
Druck Holding and Investments, DHI, which had not previously disclosed its early involvement in the Bitcoin mining, has been revealed by DHL CEO Ujwal Deep Dahal.
That was an easy one.
Yeah. During the interview, with the Bhutanese, Dahal revealed that DHI focused its mining activities on the safer and higher profile crypto assets such as BTC and ETH, with Bitcoin its primary target. They began mining BTC when it was valued at $5,000. Mining operations are powered by their hydro projects, generating clean, affordable energy. The high mountains provide natural air replacement, reducing DHI's carbon footprint. Financially cautious, they avoid deposits with lending or trading crypto firms, shielding it from industry bankruptcies. So they're just doing it. They're just running their own miners and using clean energy and stacking sats, not putting it on Celsius, not making any loans, just preparing themselves to climb the ladder in the world. I think that's pretty awesome. I think it's a great story.
Yeah.
Good for them. And I think it shows if somebody like that is doing this, there's probably many other nations out there doing this undisclosed as well. What do you got? I mean, Nick, Drew, or Kelly, anybody who wants to hop in on this, or Allie, thoughts on other countries out there with undisclosed Bitcoin mining operations? Yes or no? Happening, not happening?
I think it's happening more. I think it's happening more than we'd like to consider it. I think in reality, and I spoke about this the other day after the Gary Gensler, the failure that he had on his congressional hearing, and that Somebody brought up the fact that that the U.S. is slow playing this so inefficiently that it's actually starting to become a national security threat. And so I think in reality, as terrible as that is, I think that's something that can get both, whether you're on the left or the right. I think it's that sort of narrative is probably going to be something that's going to kick people into gear more than let's protect and empower the freedoms of our civilians.
Yeah.
No, they're going to be
care
more
about that.
interested in protecting where we're at on the world stage, and this national security threat thing, I do believe could be a thing, but in reality, it's a narrative that I think the government needs to be kicked into gear.
Yeah, I agree. I think once they start to see other, El Salvador obviously did it very publicly, which I think got a lot of people's attention. And now a lot of eyes on El Salvador because of it. And if I was another developing country similar to El Salvador, I would look at that and say, like, okay, they didn't really get a great they got some PR out of it, but like economic value driving from public coming to El Salvador, they got some, but they probably got more heat than they got positive influx economically because it pissed off the IMF and a lot of the other people on the global stage. So if I'm a small developing country, I'm doing it on the down low and just using, letting Bitcoin be the economic driver of the incentive rather than tourism or, kind of being the first one to do it, so to speak. So I think it's definitely happening more and more around the world. And I think you're right, Kelly. When other nations start to see the competition creeping up on them, that's the motivation to really make some major changes. And I think it's not just small developing countries doing this either. I think there's other major countries that have been doing this because they see where things are going. And I keep coming back to the point when Biden made the executive order to basically make all Russia's holdings of US dollars irrelevant, wipe it out, delete it from the system, basically say, we're not going to, blacklist all of your dollars that you own legally that we owe tender on. We're just not going to pay it. And I think that one move communicated to the entire world that if you hold dollars, that you are beholden to the United States.
It's very different, but it's kind of akin to when we went off the gold standard in 1971. Because it really put a sour taste it planted that seed, if it wasn't already there, for governments worldwide to start really taking into consideration. You have to, all these nations need to practice their own risk management as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they need to be hedged, and they need to make sure that they're not going to be in a position because we don't like a policy that they make or something that they do, which, the U.S., we go out there flouting that we're pushing freedom and all these positive things, but we don't really address how much instability that we also create in the world. That here in the U.S., this argument that I have with people sometimes, that somebody will say, these phones are expensive, and then 10 minutes later they say, and I do not support sweatshops, but then they say, oh man, we got to stop all the sweatshops over in these other regions. And it's like, you can't have the price of goods that we have in the U.S. that are driven down so low. By the way, it's basically economic slavery that the U.S. has put a lot of different places, a lot of different countries in. But then we as a consumer require things to still be cheap, and we have to kind of be more. We have to be more aware of our impact on the global stage, and taking people's money. The money, if they have it, it should be their money. I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah, people should be able to save their energy over time, because that's really what it is. It's a store up of energy. It's something you produce something that gives enough value to where you have enough extra that you can save for another day. And if you can't do that, you're in that debt slavery situation that you're talking about. Uncle Tinfoil says, yeah, I bet Russia's been doing it big time already. Cheap energy and plenty cold. Yeah, there's been plenty of reports. That's actually been going on for a long time. We know, Cointelegraph and a lot of them started out over there with Bitcoin miners. So the age-old saying, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. I don't know if I agree with it, but people say it is, chemistry bro there. So that gives you guys something to think about there. I think we're doing a really good job doing our parts. I do think this is a global issue. I do think we are, competing on the global stage. I think, Kelly, you made a really good point that one move of not honoring, basically sanctioning Russia's dollars was very similar to the move Nixon made of taking the dollar off the gold standard. It basically changed everything on the global scale.
Solidified distrust
all in one moment. And really systemically changed the way the global economic stage functioned. So All of that is still unraveling and still playing out, and I think it will take years to continue to do so. We're right here in the middle of it with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think, is the best solution. I think it's the best protest. I think it's the best exit from the system that we're in right now, and it gives us the best path forward to a better future for both ourselves and the next generation, which hopefully that's what you guys are all about and what you're here for. That's all we have time for today. Please go buy some Bitcoin for yourself. Tell somebody you love them. Say something nice and grateful. Shout out to all of you at Crypto Stevo, Bailey Miller, Dark Sayan, Nico, Red Robles, Two Bros Mining, Uncle Tinfoil, TJ is my hero, Poohin 78 Dig, Urkelson Chemistry Bro, Rug Gang, Time Putting, Dodd Slave, Rug Gang, Manly Crypto, Crypto Tutorial, White Rabbit, Crimson Caravan Company, Big Hands Dan, Belmont Western, all of you guys, we shout out. We love you so much.
Smash the likes.
Smash the like button.
See at the top.
Yeah, gonna
Chop that elbow.
have a special
on the like button.
dictation for you maybe tomorrow.
Hey.
Gonna have a good rest of the week. Enjoy those 5.25% interest rates. We're out of here.